let's not mess around. Let's get straight into today's video. My first step is to put this motor on a block on the floor so I can start assembling all the parts. I just want to show off some fancy bits I've had engineered. For the engine, I have got this nice glass window. It still needs to be welded. Along with the clear clutch cover, I have gone and manufactured custom triple clamps to fit the R1 suspension onto the Honda frame. And then I've got 2017 rear rim. That's a 10-spoke rim. I'm very excited for that. To fit that rear wheel, I have got the 2014 rear swing arm, which has got the 5-stud pattern. It was actually cheaper to buy a complete swing arm rather than buying the components to swap the hub around. So that's exactly what I did. So now you get to watch me attempting to move this lump onto the ground. This motor weighs almost 160 pounds or 72.5 kilos. This is going to be done manually. Let's hope I don't break my back. Okay, I'm down, but I'm not secure. Now I can go ahead and attach the swing arm, shock, frame, front end to try and get a rolling frame. Let's proceed.
I will be upgrading the standard roller bearings to these taper bearings from Bearing Works, but first I need to install the steering stem. Even though I had frozen the steering stem overnight, I was unable to get enough heat into the triple clamp and it made my life very difficult. Instead of battling with a hammer and a vise, I decided to use the fork spring compression frame that I had made and fitted the triple clamp and steering stem and used a bottle jack to press the stem into place. This worked quite well, however it did take long. With the steering stem and lower triple clamp completed, it's time to fit the lower taper bearing. To make my life easier, I used the induction plate to heat the bearing. First I fit the lower dust seal and then the lower taper bearing. Once everything is cooled down to room temperature, I start packing the bearing with grease. I start by forcing grease through the top of the bearing until the grease pushes out above the dust seal. I use the induction plate to heat the neck of the frame in order to seat the frozen upper bearing race. I use a large socket to lightly hammer the race home. Once everything is cooled, I fit the steering stem into the frame. Now time to pack the upper bearing and race with grease. I fit the bearing onto the stem and again using a large socket to drive the bearing home, checking that the steering stem is not too loose or too tight. I lightly grease the upper dust seal and fit. Now I fit the adjusting nut and hand tighten, again checking the steering stem is not too loose or too tight. I fit the lock washer and nut. Lightly tighten the nut till the grooves line up and bend the locking tabs. I fit the top bridge and nut. I didn't tighten the nut because it is going to come off later. Moving on to the swing arm, I start removing the ABS sensor and cable. I make sure the swing arm pivot bearings are in good condition and add some grease. Next, I fit the rear shock and torque the bolt to 42 Newton meters or 31 pound-feet. I move on to install shock absorber / swing arm lower mounting bracket and lightly tighten the bolts. Now I go and fit the shock link first rather than fitting the swing arm pivot bolt first, making my life very difficult. I battle ahead, not realizing my error. After managing to line up the swing arm pivot hole and bolt, in she went, sort of. And then this happened. Oh well, lesson learned. Luckily the camera is okay. After all that, I finally managed to get the bolt in completely and fit the nut. Torquing the bolt to 93 Newton meters with 69 pound-feet.
In you go, in you go.
I proceed to torque up all the smaller bolts. I carefully fit the frame, making sure not to pinch anything. Lining up the main mounting points, I get the bolt in so the frame is held by the motor. I fit the rear shock to line up the swing arm and frame. And fit the rim to support the weight. Then continuing to install the remaining bolts and spacers. Once installed, I move on to torque the rear and middle engine mounting bolts to 44 Newton meters and the front mounting bolt to 54 Newton meters. In order not to lose track of which bolt is tight and which bolt is loose, I go ahead and mark each and every bolt that has been torqued. I move on to install the freshly rebuilt R1 forks. I then install the rotors onto the front wheel. I then fit the front wheel and calipers to the forks.
there you have it. The VFR800 is finally on its own two wheels. All the modified parts fit as I expected them to. If you've made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. I'm an independent channel and I can only grow with your subscriptions and your likes and your views. So please, if you have, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, please. I think it looks pretty cool. It's got a nice stance to it. Obviously it doesn't have rubber on it, so it's gonna obviously be a little bit higher than what it's standing on the floor right now. Still a lot of work to be done. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what she's gonna look like. This was my plan from the very beginning, but I don't know whether I'm gonna make it a street fighter or half naked or full naked. I have no idea. Full fairing. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this bike. I really don't want to put it back to the original VFR fairings. I never really liked the look of that bike. Bear in mind, I do want to keep it era appropriate, so I don't want to make it look like a brand new CB1000 SP or anything like that. I want to try and keep it era appropriate, so early 2000s. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.